Hi guys and welcome back to my channel, and finally I have seen Captain America Civil War, so today I'm going to be doing my review and thoughts on the film. And to start off, before I go any further, this video will definitely contain spoilers throughout the entire video, so if you haven't seen the film or don't want to have any more spoilers, don't watch the video. But without further ado, let's just get on to the review. So basically the whole premise of the film is that after the events of New York and Washington and then Sokovia, from the United Nations point of view, the Avengers are just running amok, doing exactly what they want to do with no consequences and no one to report to or answer to. And because this film is basically a sequel to The Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron, the events that happen in both of these films tie in really closely to Civil War. Because obviously in The Winter Soldier, when S.H.I.E.L.D. falls, there is no really governing body or any entity that the Avengers have to answer to, and they just do what they need to do to protect the planet, basically. And after the events of Age of Ultron, it brings about the creation of the Sokovia Accords, which plays a huge part of this film. So basically the Sokovia Accords state that the Avengers need to be under some sort of US governing control so that they can regulate and monitor what the Avengers do, because there are so many casualties after the events of what have happened over the last few years, so they need to have some sort of responsibility for that. Which in a sense is stupid, because the Avengers are there to protect the world, and so now they're saying, well, you need to do as you're told. And so basically Tony Stark and his sidekick War Machine are like, yes, this is great, we need to take responsibility for what we've done. He feels guilty because of this kid who died, and obviously a lot of other things that have happened in the past, and obviously with the events of all the films beforehand. And he's like, S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone, so we need to have some sort of responsibility and somewhere to report to. And on the other side, Captain America is, well, no, this gives up our freedom. It means they can tell us what to do whenever they want and monitor us and arrest us if they need to. And so he's completely against this, and this basically brings about the divide within the Avengers leading up to Civil War. And I'll get back to that in a minute, because I've skipped ahead a bit, because obviously the opening scenes is when Captain America and his team are on a new mission, and basically they need to retrieve something, and Crossbones is there, and basically Crossbones is going to kill himself in order to kill Captain America, but Scarlet Witch is there to protect him, and she sends him up as an explosion into the air, and it accidentally hits the building and kills all these people, which is kind of like why the government is like, okay, well, we've got these Sokovia Accords which started after the events of Ultron, and now we really need to put this into effect straight away, because these events just keep happening with no consequences. And so a very important character, Baron Zemo, sees this as an opportunity, because the Sokovia Accords are going to be signed by the majority of the Avengers, and he basically frames Bucky, the Winter Soldier, by getting someone to look like him and have facial recognition, and basically turn into a terrorist and assassinate, well, basically everyone in the building who are signing the Accords, and just cause like complete destruction. And so everyone's like, oh my god, the Winter Soldier has just done an act of terrorism, and so basically everyone in the government is after Bucky, and Captain America's like, hang on a sec, how do you know it was him? It wasn't, this isn't my friend. Like, fair enough, he's been turned into a soldier, but this isn't him. We can correct this. I don't believe that it's him. And so this all ties together, because obviously the Sokovia Accords is splitting the Avengers in half anyway because of their views, and Captain America's like, no, it wasn't Bucky, we can't do this, and we also can't sign the Accords because it gives up our freedom. And Tony's like, no, we really need to answer for our actions, and it clearly was Bucky who was the terrorist. And so Baron Zemo is really clever, because he's manipulated this whole thing to turn the Avengers against each other, basically because he was in Sokovia, he was part of their special forces, and basically what happened in the film caused his daughter and wife to be killed, and so he just basically wants revenge and turn the Avengers against each other from the inside. And this isn't really shown in the start of the film, but it kind of progresses and you realise this is what's been happening throughout the film towards the end. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the run up to the big fight between the Avengers, but basically they find Bucky, they chase, they get arrested, and this also reveals the Black Panther character, who was really cool. And because Bucky the terrorist kills his dad and he becomes the new king, he's wanting revenge against Bucky anyway, and so basically he joins Tony Stark's side of the battle. And Tony knows that there's going to be some sort of battle. He needs to start recruiting people, because Black Widow is very much on the fence about which side to join, because she's very loyal to Captain America, but also she kind of agrees with the Sokovia Accords, which I personally don't think that she would have done. So eventually she sides with Tony, and then Tony goes off to Queens because he's heard of this new gifted person. He's seen videos, and this turns out to be Spider-Man, and it's basically the reboot of Spider-Man, and he's a much younger character, which I think is really great. The actor was really great, and just overall it brings Spider-Man into the fold really well. And so basically he recruits Spider-Man and he's like, listen, we need your help. You're going to come with us and help us in this fight. And so basically on Tony's side we have Iron Man, Black Widow, War Machine, Black Panther, Vision and Spider-Man. And on Captain America's side we have Captain America, Falcon, the Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, Ant-Man and Hawkeye. And so the battle is just absolutely brilliant. They basically fight it out to say, we need to stop or kill the Winter Soldier to bring justice to this, and then you're going to sign the Sokovia Accords. And it's quite a long battle sequence, but it is executed brilliantly. You get to see all the characters with their own individual skills, and it's just brilliant the way it's shown throughout the whole thing. And Spider-Man incorporates brilliantly into it, and Ant-Man as well, because obviously he can shrink down and he goes inside Iron Man's suit, which is really cool. Black Widow fighting Hawkeye, and it's just like, we're still friends, right? But like, it's just hilarious. Black Panther is another character who fights really well. I think he's really cool. You don't really see too much of Vision because Vision is quite a strong character anyway. He can basically just destroy them all, so I think he's a bit overpowered but doesn't use all of his powers. And same with Scarlet Witch, because I don't really think they actually want to hurt each other. It is very much friend against friend between each character. Anyway, so eventually the fight ends and Bucky and Captain America escape. Basically the rest of Captain America's team gets put in prison, and after Tony has visited them to see what's going on, he finds out the truth about Bucky, that he wasn't the terrorist. So he goes to find them, and you kind of think, okay, well, the Civil War's ended, everything should be fine, but then Baron Zemo is there and he has one final revelation. Apart from the fact that there were multiple Winter Soldiers who were there in sort of stasis mode, he kills them all because he doesn't really need them. His main goal is to tear the Avengers apart still, and he has one final blow. Earlier on in the film you hear about Tony Stark and the death of his parents, and who that is obviously Howard Stark, and he's in the Agent Carter series and the first Captain America film. And so basically Baron Zemo is like, well, actually, because when he was a Winter Soldier back in 1991, Bucky killed your parents, and so this basically tears them apart again. Iron Man is like, I don't care if he wasn't the terrorist or anything, he's just wanting to kill them both right now. Captain America is sticking up for his friend, and so he's just like, right, I'm gonna kill you both, like this is it, like if you don't stop, you're gonna die. And so it's very intense, basically the three of them fighting it out right at the very end. And seriously, you do think that they're gonna die. The three of them look like they're basically inches away from death, which is just brilliant. I mean, it's just a great way to show the film as well, because there isn't really any huge main villain, because Zemo basically constructs this whole thing and gets them to fight against each other, but in a sense they resolve it because they kind of just give up trying to kill each other. Captain America's like, right, well, we're gonna go now, we're safe. And he's like, you don't deserve the shield, so he gives the shield away, and which kind of rounds off in a sense, because this is the final of the Captain America trilogy, and so we don't know where it's going to go from there. But I do reckon he'll get a shield back at some point because he needs it for the next Avengers film. So my personal opinion of the film is that it is really good. I do need to see it again, but there are a lot of little aspects to it that if you haven't seen the whole of the universe you might not pick up on, and that's what I really love about it, because it incorporates a lot of little things like that, and so I need to rewatch it to pick them sort of things up. Originally when I saw it I thought, yes, it's really good, but actually I preferred the Winter Soldier. But now that I've thought about it a lot more, I do really like it. Like I say, I'll have to watch it again. But I think for me, the Winter Soldier is such a standout film because I'm a very big fan of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that is very S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra related, and obviously it's the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so two characters who I really hoped that would be in this film but weren't, and it makes sense because there isn't really a huge S.H.I.E.L.D. presence, and that is Nick Fury and Agent Maria Hill, who I really love both of them, but I can kind of understand why they weren't in the film. In a sense it was a little bit of a letdown not to see them, but it made sense not to have them in it. And so what I really love about the main plot of the film is the Sokovia Accords, because it's good that they show like you need to have responsibility for your actions. Like they basically have an Avengers film where there's an alien threat to the world, and so the Avengers save the world but leave a lot of destruction and devastation in their wake, and time after time they haven't really shown any responsibility for this. S.H.I.E.L.D. would normally do that and pick up the pieces like you see in the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series after the events of Thor 2, that sort of thing, and so I'm glad they bring that subject up. But personally, I don't agree with the Sokovia Accords. I was always on Captain America's side. I don't really think they should give up their freedom. Yes, they need some sort of body to give them guidance and support, but I personally think that should be S.H.I.E.L.D. and I really want S.H.I.E.L.D. to come back into the forefront of this. And so that's my own personal belief, that S.H.I.E.L.D. should be in charge of the Avengers and they can call on them when they need them and also pick up the pieces in that sense, but not be related to the US governing bodies who can control them and tell them what to do. One final thing that I want to talk about this film that I must address is Agent Carter. So we have the funeral of Agent Carter, which is really sad, but it also rounds off the trilogy again in that sense, because obviously she sets up S.H.I.E.L.D. and is a big part of that, but obviously a big part of Captain America's past as well. And obviously we see her in the Winter Soldier as a really old woman, and she's very much close to death anyway. And so it's nice just to have that closure with Peggy Carter, because obviously there's the Agent Carter series, and it's weird watching her in that and then to think that she's dead in the present day. And it's just a very moving scene as well, obviously with Captain America. And then we have the big revelation, because this character has just revelation after revelation. First she's a neighbour across the hall, and then she's a secret SHIELD agent under Nick Fury's guidance, which is fair enough. But then it turns out that she's Sharon Carter, Agent Carter's niece, and she's basically like the new Agent Carter, and I can't believe that. I think that's just incredible. I love Emily Van Camp as an actress as well. She's just so cool, and I love and hope that she is going to be in the following films as well. And with that kiss as well, I mean, I think it's just brilliant that it's almost like a new Agent Carter is going to be with Captain America, because obviously Peggy Carter was always going to be with Captain America, but then the events of the film happen and they don't get to be together. And so in a sense it's like a modern day Agent Carter relationship with Captain America, which I think is just really cool, and I hope they stay together as well. It's just such a brilliant part of the film as well, and I love how throughout the film it's emphasis that it is definitely a third and final Captain America film and not necessarily a full-on Avengers film. Yes, it is very much 50-50, but I love that it's Captain America based and driven throughout. So that's basically my review of the film, and I just think it is a brilliant film. It's definitely one of the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Probably that and The Winter Soldier are my top two. I don't know whether I prefer one or the other, and so they're basically my top two films, and it is just incredible. And obviously the fight scene, everything is executed brilliantly in this film, and it's just so cool to see all the characters together, and it definitely is going to lead up to a lot more after the film, because obviously they break out of prison and who knows what's going to happen with the Accords, possible SHIELD coming back, I don't know, we'll see. And obviously the Avengers need to come together at some point to unite for the third Avengers film, and it's just going to be brilliant, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. But it also sets up a lot of the future standalone films as well, like the new Spider-Man film, Ant-Man 2 and the Black Panther film, so I can't wait to see all of them as well in the future. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this review. I definitely can't wait to go see the film again, and it's just so brilliant. And let me know in the comments below what you think of the film, if it's one of the best, if there's any sort of flaws in it, what you think, or if you just liked my review as well, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe, because I post videos every single Wednesday, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye guys! You got Star-Lord. I'm Star-Lord, man. You're a cool, fun person, but tend to be kind of reckless with other people's lives. You like to think of yourself as a rogue, but you're actually just a goofball with a great sense of humour. Makes sense, I guess. I just do what I want and make it look like it wasn't supposed to happen that way. I don't know. The lightsaber is calling to her, and I was like, oh, well, Finn obviously uses the lightsaber. From the posters and stuff, you can tell he's the Jedi, but really, Force Awakens within Finn and Rey, and you just think, this is brilliant. Obviously 2 new Jedi, but where are these characters from?